Greetings everyone, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you a cool rust recipe, and I'm also going to be going into all the little hints, tips and nuances so that you can create this realistic looking rust. Straight out of the bat, I'm going to firstly apologise for my voice in this video, and if I sound a little bit drunk, I'm struggling to speak at the minute. I've recently had surgery on my jaw, which is resulted in me losing all feeling in my lips forever, and yeah, so I'm struggling to speak. I'm still in quite a lot of pain, so you'll just have to bear with me if I sound a little bit different in this video. But this is just a small segment that I've taken out of an upcoming video of building a tank. It's like 10 best tips and stuff like that for building a tank, and we're really in depth with it. It's quite a long video, but I wanted to share this little section and speak a little bit more about like the rust and everything like that. So the quick few clips that you've just seen here of me like quickly building a tank and painting it up, this is sort of where we need to be with our miniatures. Again, this video is coming in its entirety next, and it's quite a long video, and I'm sure you'll absolutely dig it with all techniques, and stay tuned to end it video to you so you can see what it looks like in its entirety. So back to the focus of the video again, which is why I've not run through everything what I've done already. So whatever miniature it is that you're painting, all you need to do is get it to this stage right here, where you've applied like your base coats and some of your colours, and you've got like your main colour down, and you've chipped it in whatever way that you want. I use chipping medium, but you can use Rhinox hide and all that sort of good stuff. So all you need to be is at the point where it's painted up, or you've got your base coats down and added your chips. If you, depending on what it is that you're painting, if you want to like do some panel lining at this point, you can do that. I just use some dark brown wash. So again, go in there and do like your panel lining and all that sort of stuff, but make sure that you're at a stage where you start to be able to add some rust. So the first thing that we need to do is get down some like rust base tones, like just like a bit of a background, and we want this to be as varied as possible. So for this I've got some abtilung 502, and it's just dark rust, medium rust and light rust. And all we're going to start to do first of all is you can put it on some cardboard, and if you leave it for about 30 minutes just to soak up all that linseed oil, you'll get like even more of like a matte finish on it, which does come to like the finish that you want. Again, at this point you don't have to. I gave mine a matte varnish because this is like the look I want to go for, and there's a very specific reason why I wanted the matte varnish. But you can use gloss or anything, but obviously you're going to lose that bit of like surface tension. Now the reason I went for a matte varnish is because when it's on there it sort of leaves this like stained effect, which is what we're trying to do with these oils. It's more like a rust staining and a little bit of rust build up, like a bit of like a base coat for the rust really, that we're going to come to in a little while. But all I'm going to do is just load some up. You can use this just neat, or if you want to thin it a little bit, it all depends on variation that you're trying to get. If you want it to be a little bit more lighter or see-through, and I'm just starting to do this like oil dot filtering, and I'm just adding dots and different variations of the actual like colours themselves here, there and everywhere. Some areas where the more chips are, I'm going to add a little bit more like darker rust, and you can use them as like a filter as well, which you'll see when we come to once it's dried. But you don't have to wait for it to dry, but I tend to give it around 10 minutes to dry. But I mean, by the time I've done all my dots on the other ones, it's pretty much time to come back to it and start altering it. So once you've done that, we're going to get a tiny little bit of mineral spirits on our brush. What that's going to do, it's going to reactivate that paint, but we're going to apply it in very like varied motion, and like there's all different ways you can do it. And the main video itself, you'll see how I go around each and every one of the chips and make each and every one of the chips unique. But for this, we're just going to be focusing on like the manipulation of it, just to get that background like texture base coat of the rust. So once we've got a little bit of mineral spirits on our brush, what I tend to do is just work my way around each one and just tap it, and it'll start to dissolve it, and then we can like manipulate it around a little bit. So this is where we can get a little bit creative if you want them to be like a little bit more see-through. And again, the beauty of oils, because we can take them on and off, and if you really screw it up, you can just completely clean them off and start again. Or furthermore, if you want it to be a little bit darker, you can just add more. But I'm just working my way around each one, letting it dissolve. Some are the ones that like just dissolve and I let it just seep out and I don't even touch it after that. that'll act as like the stained effects. Other ones I might brush apart or mix into each other. And again, it's just all about having fun at this stage. This is just such a playful like stage to be at, and especially if you're learning or practicing rails or you've never even used them, then something like this is just perfect because you can't go wrong. You're trying to make a mess of the colours, but in a more of a controlled way. So now that we've gone over those like few little techniques, on this stage here is me just painting it, but I'm sort of using all of the techniques and applying it in different ways. And again, that goes back to like the practice stage and the fun that you can have and the mistakes you make. And you'll see here I apply like multiple layers and multiple like different colors of each other on, and this is just again just to keep building up and manipulate it and move it about to exactly where I want it to be. If I look and I think, oh, that needs to be a bit darker, I'll add a little bit more. Oh, I want a little streak there, I might use like the brushing motion. But it's just a case of working your way around and paying attention to like areas that might naturally have a little bit more corrosion on them, especially these boxes here that have probably been like interchanged and lumped about a lot. These are going to be a lot heavier, rustier than like other areas on the tank, and especially if they've not been treated with like any rust agent that stops paint rusting or whatever. There's all the little hardcore fans saying, you know, is it ceramite? I don't know what it's called, like the Space Marine armour. Apparently that doesn't rust, but, you know, we're painting Grimdark, let's have a bit of fun, who cares? So yeah, when you've got it around to a point and everything's dry, it's the really good at this because we're wanting that matte finish, which also leans into like the law what we'll get into in like the other video where, you know, it's in a dusty environment, so it is going to be like a dusty and it's going to have all this like staining and stuff, but we'll get into that in the other video. So once you're here and we're done at this stage, give it a good like maybe 24 hours to dry, and then we can move on to our next stage. And yep, you've probably guessed it, it's very rare I get through a video without using Dirty Down's Rust, and that is what we're going to use for our next application. Now, there's a reason for it. Why didn't we just put this on first? And one is because I want that extra like matte, like really matte, as you can see on oils, and difference between them, and which is great for the Dirty Downs because it's, you know, it's that manipulatable that we can start to apply it, and it just darkens everything. It gives the rust in areas that little bit more pop and contrast what's needed, especially in areas that's a little bit heavier. And because it is water soluble, we can actually manipulate it with just water, and typically the thicker you put it on, it goes darker, and the lighter you put it on, it tends to go into more like the orange and yellows. What all this video is about is just having fun, experimenting with different colors, trying different recipes, and hopefully you get a bit of inspiration to apply it to your miniatures no matter what colors that they are. So guys, I'd like to thank you, and I hope you've got something from this video. I hope it's, you know, it's maybe giving you a different outlook of different ways to apply rust and ways you can get thinking about it and applying it with other products and just building it up, and then you can get these amazing realistic results. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you want to see this build in its entirety with all the hints, tips and nuances and everything that I go through from start to finish, then make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, because I don't want you to miss out on that next video, as it's an absolute corker. Also, don't forget I am a regular guest over at the Grimdark Compendium, and I've just released a new video. It's a Dark Angels one, and I've got quite a few Dark Angels fans on here, so if you've not checked that out already, then jump over there and check that out as well. And don't forget, you can also check out some more amazing videos and Grimdark learning techniques over at the grimdarkcompendium.com. So guys, again, thanks for watching this video. If you could, let me know what you think of it in the comments section. Also, if you could, it would really help me out if you could just hit that like button and get this video out there, as I'm feeling really poorly after my operation. So yeah, give us a like, guys, that would really help me out. And yeah, I'll catch you in my next video.